Hello and welcome to the People of Color Living with Diabetes Virtual Summit. We are so pleased to have you join us today, Deitra.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. When we talked about exactly what you did and the projects you worked on when it comes to nutrition, especially how Black people eat, I thought I have got to have her talk about nutrition in the Black community, how we can do so much better. So I'm so
Yeah.
happy to have you here to share your nuggets. So we told the viewers a little bit about you in your brief bio, but in
Mhm.
your own words, please introduce yourself and the work that you do.
Sure. Well, again, I am Deitra Dennis, and I'm the proud owner of Full Circle Health Coaching LLC. It's where we are a health and wellness solution that's evidence-based and culturally relevant, specializing in heart disease prevention for women of color. And I got into this, again, just looking at the women in my own community, my own family, and wanted to be a solution to the community so that we can change the trajectory. We are leaders, but we don't have to lead in a chronic condition.
Oh wow, I like that. I've never heard it put that way. Like we first, we don't gotta be first in everything, right?
Right.
First in the things that are positive. Definitely
Yeah.
not when it comes to health outcomes like we most often are.
Hmm.
So tell me, did something happen in your family, or is there a high, uh, incidence of heart attack and diabetes or stroke? Tell me about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it started when I was 9 years old, actually, and I had a cousin. She was in her 20s, and she passed away. She was obese, and she had complications of that, had a heart attack. And as a 9-year-old, seeing the expressions and the sadness on my family's face, I at that age kind of internalized that, like, okay, something's not right, and I need to do something. And I've always been observant, and so I observed, looking at those with diabetes having amputations, or people on dialysis, or having a stroke that pass away, or have the stroke living with the residuals of it. And from that led me to go into nursing because I'm like, okay, I have to do something to help my family. This cannot be. And so after becoming a nurse, you start seeing the frequent flyers, what we call it. They come into the hospital frequently, and it's like, okay, something's wrong. What's the root cause of this? Why are they continuing to come back? And I had a patient, of course, a lot of the patients have an impact on your life, but I had one, he was in his 20s, and he was morbidly obese. He was well over 500 pounds, and he had already been in the hospital for some time. And he was in the ICU before coming to the medical floor where I worked on, and I worked nights. And so he was my patient for several weeks, actually months. And had the opportunity when I was caring for him because he had, wound care and just a lot of needs. And so I was in his room a long time with caring for him. And that was a perfect opportunity to talk to him about, how did he get to where he was? No judgment about it, but how did he get there? And what were his plans to, once he got home, to do different, to do a reset, if you will. And that was coaching before I knew what coaching was. And uh, fast forward, he was discharged to an inpatient rehab. And then he was discharged home. When he went home, he went back to his old way of eating. And I'm sad to report that he passed away. And I tell you, when I heard the news of that, it was as if someone had knocked the wind out of me because I'm like, okay, he was 20. And, you know, what could I have done different? So that changed my way of nursing care that day. I changed a lot of things in my life. I relocated here to Atlanta. Um, and I changed my nursing care from the bedside to the sideline as a coach and to the table side in teaching nutrition and cooking for people to really not just a fad, but making it a lifestyle,
Wow.
to eat healthy.
That's I think as a nurse or as nurses, we all have, that handful of patients that impacted the trajectory of our career in some way. It's kind of why I transitioned into diabetes and certainly public health myself. I have my stories as well. But that story, I mean, you see that time and time again. You just don't expect that to be in someone so young. You mentioned how you were providing health coaching without knowing what health coaching is. And I think that health coaching is a foreign concept to a lot of people that don't understand or place an emphasis on prevention. And so, for the viewers that are out there listening to and watching this segment, explain to us, because you're a certified, tell me the credentials again.
Yes, I'm a national board certified health and wellness coach. The organization, National Board Health and Wellness Coaching, set the standard for coaching. And I'm happy to report that January of this year, 2020, that a pilot is going forth where the VA is going to, in a sense, reimburse for health coaching. So, what health coaching is having someone. So, think about it when you play a sport, you have a coach there to draw out of you what's already in you. It's already in each of us. It's just having someone to guide you to that goal, giving you the tools to help you be successful to reach that goal. Because we know what to do, but sometimes there is a gap between knowing what to do and doing it. So you need that support to help you get there. It's that bridge, if you will, to get to the goal.
That's a good analogy. And then keeping with the sports analogy is, I think about football. You have to know your defense, right?
Yes,
So you have
yes,
to know those vices. You have to
yes.
know, when a certain time of the month comes, I know I'm going to have those cravings. And
Mm-hmm.
I have to have those strategies in place to where
Mm-hmm.
I can make sure that I make the healthiest choice when it comes to nutrition. And so I'm glad that you explained it that way. Health coaching is definitely that person that's on the sideline saying, look, you can do it. This is how you can do it. Let's work together. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
teach you these offensive plays, but then I'm going to teach you these defensive plays as
Mm-hmm.
well so you can know your opponent.
Yeah.
So tell me, when you're dealing or coaching women of color, because I know that is your primary
Yeah.
population or clientele rather. What's
Mm-hmm.
the biggest challenge that you see in women of color?
Um, Two that stand out, and I'll mention this first one, is when talking about the food. Uh, Not wanting to give up the flavor, and feeling that, okay, if you say eat healthy, and for me, I'm whole food, plant based, or vegan, they feel like, oh, okay, it's not going to taste good, it's going to be bland. But what I share and give the participants an opportunity to experience the food with flavor, foods that are familiar to us, just modifying it. But again, having the flavor, because that's key. That's key. And right now, because we are not able to have classes face to face, I offer online classes. It's virtual, so it's a cook along, so they can still taste it and have the experience of the food being flavorful.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
wow. So it's, and I know she's probably going to see this, but when you say that, I think about my mother, like almost automatically, right?
Mhm.
I consider myself, so I'm like a vegan in heart, right?
Okay.
Even though I know my blood vessels are like, girl, please. But, but I can see myself,
Hmm.
if I could do it more than 2 weeks. I know as a healthcare professional,
Hmm.
that is the best way to live, whole food,
Hmm.
plant based, right? And
Hmm.
and also I want to ask you to clarify for people in a minute the difference between being a vegan and being whole food, plant based. There
Sure.
is a difference that people don't realize.
Yeah.
I know that it's the best to heal our bodies, to
Mhm.
reverse, to prevent disease, but then also
Mhm.
to reverse
Yeah.
progression as well. I understand that. But for people, I'm so glad you have those classes, because unless you show a person that you
Hmm.
can still have, you can still have collard greens,
Yeah.
and you don't have to put the fat bag, and you don't have to put the hot ham hocks and all that in
Mhm.
there. Like, people don't understand, if that's all you ate all your
Yeah.
life,
That's all they know.
yeah, that's all you know, and
Mhm.
you don't understand that it actually could be served healthier.
Yeah.
The idea that you have these cook-alongs, and even the
Mm-hmm.
fact that you were able to pivot and transition to doing those virtually, I love that idea. I
Mm-hmm.
love that. I would love to share that information with my mom, and maybe it's
Yes.
something that we can
Yes.
do together. Talking
Indeed.
about this whole food plant-based diet, let's transition a little bit and talk more heavy nutrition. Tell the viewers a little bit about the difference between the whole food plant-based diet and being a vegan.
Okay. So vegan is any product or anything that you're eating that does not have animal in it or any animal byproduct. Oreos are vegan. Is it the healthiest? Maybe not. Um, but it's a start, right? So you're eliminating the animal byproduct. Whole food, plant based, meaning you're eating whatever the nutrient is in its natural state, in its whole state. So a sweet potato or a potato rather than a French fry or a potato chip. So you want it in its natural state as possible because again, that's where you're going to get all the nutrients.
Thank you. I always tell patients that talk about, oh, I'm a vegan, and I ask them about their diet and what they're eating. Like
Mm-hmm.
you said, they eat a lot of chips, they eat a lot of cookies, they eat a lot of processed, they eat those frozen TV dinners that you pop in the microwave. And
Mm-hmm.
I always say, so what do you eat that comes from a tree or grows from the ground? Because
Right.
that's how I look at whole food plant based. When
That's right.
I am going through my, like I do it for weeks at a time,
Mm-hmm.
it's whatever comes off a tree or comes out
Right.
the ground, and that's it.
Right.
And
That's
that's whole food, that's plant based. To me, that's the medicine that was
that's
put here
exactly
for us to heal ourselves and heal our bodies.
right. Mm-hmm.
So
That's
tell
right.
me about this project that you've worked on, that I'm so excited to share with you, called the African American Power Plate. Tell us more about that.
Yes. So it's the African heritage
Oh, sorry,
power plate. Yes.
African
Yes.
Heritage Power Plate.
Yes. So actually, it was a vision that started in 2017 that I felt very inspired to have developed. 2017 was when I became a certified Food for Life instructor with the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. And at that time, I was an instructor with A Taste of African Heritage, a program of old ways. And so in my mind, being the little creative person I am, I was like, oh, it would be great to combine the two, having whole food plant based, but truly culturally relevant, representing all of the African diaspora or when our enslaved people were dispersed to represent each region. And so it took some time, but from 2017, and it was released February 1st, 2020 this year. So it really is, I would say, a hybrid of the African heritage diet pyramid that Old Ways created for A Taste of African Heritage and the power plate from Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. So it's a combination of the two, showing how to truly add power to your plate at every meal, following the guide of having vegetables, including your dark leafy vegetables, your tubers or your root vegetables like your sweet potatoes, and all the other vegetables. Then you have your whole grains, you have your fruit, and you have the legumes or anything in a pod, your beans, peas, lentils, nuts, seeds. That's how you build your plate every meal, and that's power on that plate.
Oh, I love that, and I can't wait to share that visual and that link with the viewers. We'll make sure that we put it in the show notes underneath this video. Do you
Yeah.
have any upcoming events where we can get more hands-on information and education on not just healthy eating nutrition, but maybe the power plate or a whole food plant-based diet in general?
Yes, so we have a Back to the Root 2 week vegan jumpstart, and I did said vegan, so it wouldn't be so long to say whole food plant based, but it's truly a whole food plant based. So it's a jumpstart. It's an opportunity to experience the food as well as a connection to our heritage, because I believe that our ancestors they ate, I know this to be true. They ate plant based. It was when the enslavement coming to the Americas, um, and we were introduced to other food, not from our origin. And so when we started eating those foods, that's when all of the sickness and disease came about. So it's an opportunity to connect back to that. You receive coaching, you receive live cooking classes, you receive daily messages from me, motivation, and video training. Again, what really going in depth about a back to the root eating plan using the African Heritage Power Plate as a guide, and then connecting to heritage, really going back to each of the diaspora, going back to the Caribbeans, to South America, to Africa, and to the American South. What foods were unique in those areas, and how we can enjoy those foods again, healthy, low fat, no oil, and still flavorful. And then going in how to set your kitchen up with those things to help you to be successful, how to meal plan, how to grocery shop, reading food labels, then how to meal prep, and then that cooking, using the tools, because it's important to have tools to help you to be successful, make it easier for you to prepare the foods, and then eating out and about, because, even though I know right now we are in quarantine a little bit, but there are times you want to eat out, but showing you how to order from the menu when you do eat out.
Wow. Everything that you said, first of all, I'm like, I hear the drums and the beats of the motherland speaking to me. And I was like, I tapped into all of my heritage right there. The last response there. But then also I'm kind of salivating because the way that you make it sounds like, oh, it sounds so good. And that's so wholesome and natural. And that's how we should be eating, right?
Yeah.
But what do you say about good old-fashioned soul food?
Okay.
And what do you say to people, especially Black people, that don't want to give up that soul food? Because they took us and they brought us over here and they changed our diet, but that's our diet. We adapted. We made it to where we could eat, the remains of the pig and what the other animals didn't eat, and the worst cuts of beef and pork. And so that's part of our Black American culture. Mm-hmm. So what do you say to those individuals that are still holding on to it?
Well, being a coach, I never judge anyone for what they decide, and I never force anyone on anything. I just offer them the opportunity to experience and to even share, yes, this is what it was here. Soul food, the term soul food came about in the 1960s. And I always call it, prior to the enslavement, the original soul food meant that it was, we ate seasonally, we ate organic, we ate unprocessed, and we ate local because we ate from the land. We ate what we grew, we ate seasonally, and we ate together as a community. So yes, the food, it was making do with what we had, because we are resourceful people, we are resilient people, we are creative people. So we made do with what we had to create those great cuisines that we're so used to. But again, a lot of it came from what came from back home, right? And we had to adapt to what was here. So if you want the collard greens, I show you how to make those collard greens healthy, still flavorful. You want the cornbread? We can make it. We can just modify it. We can still have it. We just modify it.
Wow. Yeah. I'm ready to come to your kitchen.
Well, come on over.
You cook on Sunday, I will be there.
Yes.
Man, it just sounds amazing. And it certainly is a resource that I think we need more than ever now, because everything that we put in our body contributes to worsening disease. Every single thing. And it only makes sense that if we put better things in our body, you get out what you put in, right?
That's right. That's right.
Wow, this has been so helpful. I can't wait to share your information. So go ahead and tell us now, where can they find you? How can they get signed up for this 2-week, you said 2-week vegan Jumpstart?
Yes.
2-week vegan Jumpstart, all of that. Tell us where we can find you.
Okay, before sharing that, I want to just give a little bit of what the testimonials from participants. So I've had 2 individuals that their blood pressures, I won't say quite to normal, but very close to it. So one, her top number, the systolic blood pressure, was 200. At the end of 2 weeks, it had come down to 130. I had another one, her systolic, the top number was 132, came down to 116. Many people experience weight loss, 3 to 5 pounds, or they had clearing of their skin, they slept better, their joints felt better. So that is what you have an opportunity to experience just by in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks,
Wow.
just try it. We can do a lot for 2 weeks, 14 days,
Wow.
right?
Now
And so,
those are testimonies because everybody wants a quick fix, right?
right.
It's not
Mm-hmm.
overnight, but 2 weeks, it's just about overnight. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
And
so glad
so,
you said that. Go ahead.
yes, yes. And so to enroll into the class or any services that I offer, you're welcome to visit my website at Full Circle Health Coaching LLC.com, Facebook at Full Circle Health Coaching LLC.
Awesome. And
Yes,
that's where they can find the information on a 2-week Jumpstart
yes,
program. And
yes.
then as far as the African Heritage Power Plate, is the information there as well?
It is. So for the Jumpstart, you would hover over events and it will be there. For the Power Plate booklet, you go to books and it's right there for download.
And when is the next Jumpstart gonna occur?
August 23rd is the kickoff.
Okay, August 20th.
Yes.
And then I wanted to talk about one other event that you just had.
Yes.
I think it was dinner and a dialogue. Tell me if I'm saying that wrong or right. And then tell us quickly about that event and when we can expect you to host it again.
Okay. So we just hosted our virtual dinner and a documentary. And this time we did a screening of the post-traumatic slave diet. Again, showing how our ancestors were a strong and healthy people, again, going back in time in history, and it wasn't until eating the traditional soul food that the diseases came about, and giving solutions, again, just as what we've described, today, how we can change that narrative of our community. So I offer those every other month. The one that I had in May was the screening of The Invisible Vegan, and then I have another one coming up in September that will be homecoming, and that is about our farmers, our Black farmers. So again, every other month is when those happen, and I synchronize those with the Back to the Root 2-week Jumpstart. So the documentary is like an inspiration, and then the Back to the Root 2-week Jumpstart is an experience. So you learn about it and you have a chance to experience.
I love that. I am going to be there for the one in September.
Yes.
Sounds like great information, not only for patients, but for healthcare providers, for
Yes.
students. A lot of students, agricultural students, public health students, nutrition students. Man, this
Yes.
sounds like really, really great information. This has been so good. You are a wealth of information. Thank you for everything that you do. And thank you so much, Deitra, for being a part of the People of Color Living with Diabetes Virtual Summit. I look forward to speaking with you again very soon.
Indeed. It has been my pleasure.